saying happy birthday every minute of every day for this day today, or what? We need
It's
to do
been
that.
crazy talk here.
Well, I love it. I want you to know happy birthday. Thanks for sharing this day with all of us. It's a
Thank
gift to be
you.
here with you and the entire community. Welcome, and thank you everyone for being here.
Thank you so much. I'm really excited to have everybody here today. This is so much fun to do this for my birthday. Um, so many amazing speakers, and it's just an honor. Thank
Well,
you. So your turn. You're up.
well, you know what's really fun about inspiring stories? I love the question when Haley said, "Hey, you want to share something?" And I want to share something that literally is the reason why I picked the image behind me. I call it the hot mess that comes when you think life is supposed to be a pretty present with bows and ribbons and shiny paper. And it really isn't. It's a black box that's beaten up with black paper, just broken up, beaten up. It's dropped by the UPS, the FedEx driver, the Amazon driver. That's what I think life is sometimes. And it's wrapped up sometimes in our own perception and on our own reality. So let me share a little bit of my story. When I was 26 years old, I literally decided to adopt two children as a single woman. I had just finished school. I had just figured out what I wanted to be when I grow up. And in that experience, I said, I want to adopt two children. And how this came about was that I looked at my life and I thought, well, I've got a little bit of my life to share and I want to share it. And I talked to my mom and I said, Mom, this is my goal. I'm a little older than other folks. I'm single. I don't have any children and I'm an entrepreneur. And she said, you know what? I would have never thought anything less. This is exactly what I would expect you to do. So at age 26, I applied to adopt two children who are biologically the only pair of siblings that had the same mom and dad. And granted, both of them had parents that were teenagers, had 5 other children with other people. And so this was the luck of the draw, was that they'd be the only pair that actually had the same parents. And as I went through that process, it was so overwhelming. I had gotten asked questions like, why do you want to adopt children? I said, because if their parents don't want them, I want them. How do you know that you're going to be able to provide for them? How do you know that you're going to be able to give them a good education? And I said, well, I have an education. I've gone through school. I would want my own children to have that. So I went through this very evasive experience of being asked a lot of these questions. And I thought, wow, I thought I was going to be the one giving to these children. I thought I was going to be giving my life to these amazing children who just wanted to be loved. Mind you, that my son at the time was 7 and my daughter was 6. They're only a year and 3 months apart. And so I went through all of that rigmarole. I went through all that painstaking evaluation, and I was finally awarded these two children. At the end of the adoption process, I had gotten them moved over. I had decided to, do my education and pursue additional certification. My black belt Lean Six Sigma at the time was my goal. And so I moved my children to a university kind of setting where I had classes in school and I worked as an entrepreneur and they were going to school. What was really hard was this promise that I made. And this promise that I told them was that they would never be the story they came from. And that's going to be one of my books that I write. That my promise to these two children who had nothing to do with their meth addict parents, their teenage parents, that they had nothing to do with the poverty that they were living in, was another gift that I thought, it's going to be perfect. It's going to be ribbons and bows and it's going to be perfect. And it wasn't. It was really hard because they needed to understand where they came from and why, the things happened in their life. So I kept the adoption open and I let them literally have an open relationship with their parents and their grandparents and family holidays, because I never wanted them to know that, wow, my mom didn't allow me to see my family. I wanted them to always know, you know what, this is where you came from. This was part of your story, but it will never be your story. And now, as I've gone through that process, it was really hard as a single person who used to get looks and glares, and people used to judge me. And I didn't get up there and say, hey, by the way, I adopted 2 children. I just said, I'm a mom to 2 great kids, and we're learning this together. So that was my second gift in life that seemed like I was doing it for all the right reasons, and it didn't come out exactly the way I thought it was going to be, but it was exactly the way it needed to be. And I think that often had taught me the lessons of resilience, grit and grind, and sacrifice. And as my children got older, we had, a lot of hiccups along the way. They wanted to know why their parents gave them up for adoption. They wanted to understand, why this lady would adopt them that had no connection, no relationship, no blood relation to them. And I just said, because it was the right thing. And it's hard, and we're going to get through this. And both of my children really have taught me what the world can be like, both in a black wrapped up present or a sparkly shiny present. And those life lessons to me is what helped me understand who I am today as an entrepreneur. Now I'm going to be really vulnerable. I want so much to have had children on my own. I wanted to have that experience of them growing in me and wanting to, be pregnant and take pregnant photos. But that wasn't my lot in life. And that was finally okay after so many years of coming to terms with that they grew in my heart, that they had every problem that every parent struggles with just because I didn't give birth to them. But it allowed me to see something super important that I think is powerful in business, is to have compassion and grace and empathy, because everyone was once where I was. And just because I'm enjoying the fruits of, multi 6 figures and moving my business into, 7-figure business, I know that on the other side of that call, when I work with my client, that they have just as much on their plate that maybe I had when I was a young entrepreneur, a young mother. The third gift that I received in a busted box that was dropped by UPS and FedEx was at the pivot change of when my children were much older. So my son, he is a huge Hawaiian kid, D1 material, can get, any scholarship. And he decided to serve and live in Uganda, in South Africa. That was one of his goals. So he lived there for 2 years and served and paid for his entire experience there. I had nothing to do with it. And he served. And this was something so powerful. He lived with people who were children that didn't even know their parents. These were children that had been homeless and had grown up and made the decision to serve people in Uganda. And he finally wrote me a letter, in spite of all the turmoil and struggle we had growing up together. He said, Mom, I finally realized why you adopted us. Because I could have been one of these kids that had no place to call home, that didn't have any conveniences. And yet I didn't realize what I had because I was so stubborn. I was trying to fight against everything. And I really wanted, to be like every other family. And in that moment, what seemed to be a really ugly present that life handed to me and to my children ended up being inside of that very box this gift that this young man didn't have to be the story he came from, and that I had fulfilled my part of the deal that I committed to when I took on this opportunity to be a mom. That my son now was in another country, realizing that he had the power to help people in poverty, that he had the power to help individuals overcome. And I don't take any credit for this. I just bit my tongue and I just said, son, I love you. I'm sure it will all work out. And that everything that you are learning, you're going to be in turn serving someone else with this story. So that's the fourth. My stories are not here to pat myself on the back. It's not my story to share about my children's, greatest accomplishments in life. It's just simply to say that I know that I have these stories to share because someone else on the other side of this virtual screen needs to know that you don't need to be the story you came from. Whether it's you're shifting from a career, you're shifting from a terrible relationship. Maybe you're transitioning and finally calling into your purpose of being a coach. You're not going to ever be the story you came from. You can just receive that place that you have in the world and accept it as such a great gift. Now, my daughter, during this entire time, she's watching her brother. She's going through her own ups and downs. And as a daughter, she's struggling, with trying to just make sure she's got a place in this world. And for her, she has sang on the Great Wall of China. She plays 4 instruments. She loves people. She served a humanitarian call to serve in Guatemala. She's been there, helped women with burning wood stoves. She helped sell jewelry for them, and so my daughter, in her own way, used music as her gift to others. And she's the kindest girl. She will sit with the loneliest kid at lunch. She would give hot chocolate to the homeless guy that knocked on the car window. She'd pull into 7-Eleven. But where she is now, I consider this to be my 5th gift. She said, Mom, I'm looking at you as the only way, because I don't want to be that teenage mom. I don't want to be that teenage mom that has to give up her kid because I made dumb decisions. And I said, you'll never be that story. You had a full ride scholarship from Paul Mitchell that paid $24,000 of your education. You have 0 debt. You've served, you've gone and done more things. So now your job is to just go out there and be the best version of yourself. I looked at her, and maybe I didn't give birth to her, but I sure hoped that she'd pick up, hopefully, on the good things that I am. And I'm so thankful, because even though it was hard, and our heart is a lot different than other people's hearts. And there were moments when they'd say, you're not my mom. And I said, you're right, but I am your mom right here, right now. And so I've learned from this gift that she was to me, the way that I would want women to stand out and live above their privilege, that they are able to do anything that they want, that how dare they live ever below their privilege of being able to nurture and love and to be CEOs, to be successful. And not any ounce of me ever doubts that. And so this gift indirectly blessed me to see her as I see life as it is, in spite of COVID, in spite of what we go through, that this gift helped me see the innocence of our worth as women, especially when the world can say so much different things and it's such a noisy place. My daughter showed me to never live below our privilege, to never live below what we are all destined to be, that we are the answer to someone else's problem, and we are the answer to someone else's need of hope and compassion and love and grace and all these wonderful things. My 6th and final gift, which really is maybe where we call that the jumping off point, is in my own appreciation for all the struggles. I'm at this age now where hopefully I've learned a little bit more and I'm a lot wiser. But I thought, in order for me to transform my business, I have to first be transformed. And this 6th and final gift really is a short and sweet example. So I recently was in a class and they said, everybody take out 4 pieces of paper, and maybe you're on this wonderful Zoom and you will do this too with me. Take out 4 pieces of paper and write the first 4 people that come to mind that you love. And so I did. I wrote my mom, I wrote my dad, I wrote my children. And then this 4th piece of paper, I thought, okay, who is this 4th person that I love? And for about 3 to 4 minutes, I finally took the courage to write my name. When you're an entrepreneur and you are always giving to people, Sometimes we're the last person to give to ourselves. But in that moment, I wrote my name down on that fourth slip of paper. And I thought, I've never done that. That's against my culture, my religion. That's against who I am. I love to give the world everything. I'm totally happy with giving the world all that I have. And during this exercise, they said, crumple the first person on your group of 4 papers that you just could kind of like, you love, but you kind of don't. So crumpled that up, threw that away. And they said, okay, take the second paper and crumple it up and throw that away. Then the third paper, crumpled up and threw in. I'm like, gosh, what is wrong with this exercise? I don't like this exercise. I really love these people. So the fourth paper that I didn't crumple up was my name. And I stopped for the first time in all my 41 years of living on this earth and said, I finally love myself enough to let me be the first person I take care of. And you know, I know that might be something very small for a lot of you on this call, because I look at all of these people in this group and I'm like, I am in the room with champions. And I looked at that first time ever that I was the person for self-love and self-care. So this gift, I was the one beating up the box. I was the one taking the bat and dropping it 3 flights of stairs. I was the one that wasn't caring for this person as the way I should. But in this simple exercise, I finally realized I had arrived, and that I would stop beating up the box, that I'd be happy if today I helped a client, if I helped and did my live, if I helped and showed up for someone's Zoom, that I finally took care of me and I could be in that self-care and self-love. And I would stop beating up that poor box, because it didn't need to be beaten up in order for it to have any worth. So in this 6th gift, I have realized that I am a gift to myself, and how I take care of that through my work, through my children, through my relationships, through my business, is really going to land on me. And that I need to remember that I matter first, because if I take care of myself, I'll be able to take care of my business and my clients and my relationships and all of these goals and aspirations that I have. You know, so my life kind of looks like a hot mess, but it sure is great. I have loved every moment, from being able to not be normal in how I came to be a mom, or not normal because I didn't follow the traditional way of starting a business, that I'm this entrepreneur who loves what I do because I love people. I'm okay. And that it's more than okay. This is exactly where I'm supposed to be. This is exactly what I'm supposed to be experiencing. Because at the end of the day, my experience is to help someone else that might be struggling with the same things or the same worries. And they just feel like sometimes they don't have anyone else to tell. And so I am so excited that my gifts, even though they're ugly boxes, and even though they're, you know, not with pretty bows, inside of those beat up boxes is really this amazing gift that I have come to love and appreciate so much. And so when I think about these amazing things that I get to do, I seriously am so thankful and filled with gratitude. I just want to be here with you and thank Kaylee for sharing this gift with all of us today, to be a part of her birthday, and how special it is to give back. And you know, as I end my part of this, I hope someone felt inspired to know that we're right alongside with them, that they have a crowd that's cheering them on, and more importantly, that we're all exactly where we need to be. And I appreciate this time to be with you. Thanks, Haley, for having this. Thanks, everyone, for being here with me and allowing me to share my 6 gifts that didn't start off as that. but they meant so much more today. Thank you, everyone.
Wow. Thank you. That is incredibly powerful.
You are so kind, Haley. So kind. Thank you.
And the ultimate gift of finally putting yourself first. What a kind, generous, beautiful story. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Everybody, let's give Charlene a round of applause.
Oh, you are so great.
So you guys,
there you go, Tracy. I love that. Whatever. Joe, I see ya.
we absolutely have to put ourselves first. So smart. So true. Nothing else matters, right? If we can't take care of ourselves. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, everybody. So I appreciate this. This is amazing. I am blown away.